Hello friends, I am Prashanth from Shri Krishna Arts and Science College, Coimbatore. This video is all about C++ programming language. So let's go. So C++ programming language. C++ programming language is a object-oriented programming language. So let's first see about the OOPS, that is object-oriented programming. So object-oriented programming concepts. So first is class. Class is defined as the user-defined block of statements in which you define the datas and members into a unit called as class. So next is objects. Objects are called as instance of the class that have been used for accessing the datas and methods inside the classes. So next is data abstraction and encapsulation. These data abstraction is called as the process of abstracting the data, and they've been used for security purpose in OOPS languages. The process of data hiding is achieved by data abstraction. And next is encapsulation. Encapsulation is a process of wrapping up of data and functions into a single unit, is called as encapsulation. You can say a class is a very good example of encapsulation because inside the class you have both data and functions. So next is inheritance. Inheritance is considered to be the most important part of OOPS languages. Like it is a process in which you derive a new derived class from an existing base class. Okay, for example, you have a base class over here. You derive it to a new derived class. So this is called as inheritance. So in C++ there are 5 different kinds of inheritance. So first inheritance is simple type of inheritance called as single inheritance, in which you have only one base class and one derived class, and the properties have been derived. So next is multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance is a thing in which there are two base classes and you derive it into a single derived class. So that's called as multiple inheritance. So next is hierarchical inheritance. Is like you have single base class and it has been splitted up or derived into different derived classes. This is called as hierarchical. So multi-level inheritance. Next, multi-level inheritance is like grandfather, father and child type of relationship type of inheritance. Like A property will be derived to B and B properties will be to C. Ultimately A properties also will be derived to C. So next is hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance is like you have a single derived class, you have a single base class in which you derive two different derived class, and those two derived class have been combined together to form a single derived class called D, that is hybrid derived inherited class. So next, going back, next is polymorphism. Polymorphism is a process of poly itself means like many. So for example, you can see here like the shape has a function called draw that has been derived to different shapes like in triangle and so on, and each and everything in it has a draw function. So the draw function is used for different purpose in different classes. So this is called as polymorphism, and there are two types of polymorphism: compile time and runtime. Compile time is achieved by overloading. Runtime is achieved by virtual functions or dynamic binding. Dynamic binding is simply called as runtime polymorphism. Next is message passing. Message passing is a process of communication within the person object. So for example, like object name dot a data. So that object communicates with the data through that object, called as message passing. So next is the benefits of OOPS, like reusability. You can use it again. Inheritance is, you've seen the deriving classes from different things. Data hiding is achieved by data abstraction for security purpose. Reduced complexity of a problem, like you can reduce the number of effect for problems in coding. Next is maintaining and upgrading. Maintaining can be done easily by OOPS. And next is message passing. Message passing is the process of communication. As I said, modifiability is like editing process. You can edit at any time or modify the data set any time as you want. Next is applications. So these are the applications of OOPS. These are some of the applications: simulation, CAD, CAM, artificial intelligence, and others are like neutral parallel networking, artificial intelligence, OOPS, databases and so on. So next is C++ programming. So C++ programming is a successor of C programming language, and previously it was called as C with classes. Later it was named to C++. C++ means C incremented, that is the incremented version of C language. C++ was developed by Journey Strustrup in the year of 1980s. It is bottom-up programming language, and it is only partially object-oriented programming language and not purely object-oriented programming language. Programming structure: the header file declaration, global variable, class declaration, main, and method declaration. So this is example of that. iostream.h. As you use studio.h in C, here you use iostream.h, which means input output stream. So you define the class inside it, and note that you should terminate the class by semicolon, then void main, and you define the main function also. So next is the replacement that have been done from C to C++, like printf to cout, scanf to cin. So different header files have been used. Variable can be defined at any place in C++, and in C we cannot do that. And also mind that you should save your program as filename.cpp. So that's all about C++ programming. So let's go on to the desktop. Turbo C++. So see how to print a statement in C programming language, how to display a thing in C++ programming language. So as you have seen the structure of C programming language, it starts with header file inclusion. So the main header file for C++ programming language is iostream. So iostream means input output streams. It's a combination of istream class, that is input stream, and the outstream class. So it's a combination of input and output streams. So then we'll use #include conio.h. Conio.h is a console input output stream, as we have used this header file in C programming language for getch and clearstream, and we use here for the same reason. And next is void main. Main function is one of the most important part of the C++ programming language, as I've said you previously. So inside this you can declare any variables if you want here, but we are doing this program for printing a string in the screen. So for the printing process in C programming language we use printf, but here we are using cout. Cout is the function that prints anything that has been given in double quotes. Cout, and you should use it like this, and I should give anything to be printed. Hello C++ programming. So we are clearing the screen clr so we don't get any confusions in our output. And getch is used by the user, and because after displaying the output it just comes to the screen in fraction of seconds, but getch function gets a value from the user. Until that the output of our function will be displayed. So let's include spelling is wrong in this, so you should know how to correct the errors like this. So #include conio.h. So let's compile again and see. So there are 0 errors, so just run it. So the output is hello C++ programming. So next we'll see how to get a value from the user. So in this process, if you see, I'll use the same thing, #include enter the value a. So let's define a variable over here. So we'll define int a. We'll define an integer variable. So we are getting the value from the user. Enter the value of a. We are prompting for the value. So we use cin instead of scanf here for getting the values, and we should give the value as a here. So this gets the value from the user, and let's see how to display it on the screen. see out, we're getting a value called a and we are displaying it on the screen. So the value of a is, you don't need to use any percentage d or any specifiers for this. You should use only this thing for display. So this display is here. So give get ch. So let's compile it and say again. So there are no errors. So let's run this. So it's asking for the value of a. Let me give 5. So the value of a is 5. So simple. So that's it. The process of getting the value from the user and printing it on the screen. So and let's see the process of variable declaration as you have did here, int a. So there are different kinds of variables. Before that, I would like to say some of the other header files that are being used for the program. Hash include, sorry, hash include string.h. This is used for any kind of string operations that you're doing in your program. Math.h. Math.h is a function that is being used for mathematical operations in your program. So variable declarations, if it is done above the main program, it's called as global variable declaration, and if it's below the main program, it's called as local variable declaration. So int a. So then float, it's all similar to the C programming language variable data types. Then let's have a character of C. Then again let's see, have a character of array of 10. So this is a process of variable declaration in your program. So if you wanted to initialize those variables, you need to give it as, when you give some values to the variable, it's called as initialization, as I've mentioned in the previous program as well. Printing some values. So for string, you should be careful that you should give within double quotes. So let's print these values and see. A, B, C, D. So we didn't use clear screen yet. So we have used cout here for printing A value, B value, C value and D value. So note that you don't need to use any percentage %d or any other specifications for this. So let's compile this program and see. So there are no errors. So let's run it. So the output is being displayed, but still it has to be aligned. So you just see it displays in a continuous way. So we just need something to do with this. So and also float value should be something in point. So let's give it as 0.25. Character value should be given in single quotes. So single quotes will give it as A. So we'll just align it now. For aligning, you should use %/n. So let's compile this and see. Check for any errors. There's no errors. So let's run it. So A/n, B, then C, then D, /t/t. So this is a process of printing the program. This is a process of variable initialization and declaration. Hope you understood that. And as of the branching and looping statement, the branching statements are if else, switch, go to, and all these kinds of programs are all similar as of C programming language. So that's it, friends. Hope you understood programming well, and thanks for watching, and please like this video.